So welcome to Family Friendly Business Day at the New Mexico Legislature. I'm Giovanna Rossi, and I'm the founder and CEO of Family Friendly New Mexico. I'm joined by a fabulous team. If you haven't met them yet, you will. We've got Juliana Silva, we've got Zoe Otero Martinez, and we have Felicia and Angelica Archuleta. Our whole team really works collaboratively and really hard to put on all of these events and educational opportunities for our businesses in New Mexico. So real quick, a couple of Zoom tips. I know everyone is sort of expert at Zoom now, so not too many things to share here. Just if you do have questions, please pop them in the chat. We are monitoring the chat, so we'll try to answer your questions throughout, and then we'll have a few minutes at the end as well. I also want to start with our land acknowledgement. This is something that we've incorporated into our work, and so just to let you know, I live, mother, and work on the land of the Tiwa people in what is now known as Sandia and Isleta Pueblos surrounding Albuquerque, New Mexico. All right, for today's agenda, we're gonna go until about 12:45, so it's a quick event. Hopefully you have a little lunch break or some time to just really enjoy this information that we're gonna share with you. We're gonna do an overview of the legislative session, issues impacting family-friendly businesses. We're also going to share the Family Friendly Business Day recognition and acknowledgement certificate from the New Mexico State Senate. And we'll hear from our guest speakers, Dr. Gina Jones from NMSU and Haz Saeed from Basin Health. All right, so a little bit about Family Friendly New Mexico. If you're not familiar with us, our mission really is to recognize and support employers that adopt and implement family-friendly workplace policies so that employees and their families can thrive. So we want all people and families to thrive in New Mexico, and we think that one really great way of accomplishing that is through supporting businesses to support their employees. And we really are your trusted resource for family-friendly workplace policies. We have worked with over 200 businesses over the years, and we've impacted hundreds of thousands of employees across the state. We also offer various educational events and resources, including an online toolkit. If you are wondering, how do my workplace policies compare with the Family Friendly New Mexico list of policies? You can check it out on our website. It's all there. We also have a blog where we talk about the different kinds of what makes a family-friendly workplace. And we give out an award every year to those companies that are really demonstrating a commitment to implementing workplace policies that are family-friendly. And we meet you where you are. So if you haven't checked this out yet, I encourage you to go to the website that Zoe's posting in the chat right now and check it out. It's what we hear from businesses across the state is that just the process of looking at the application to be recognized is a whole educational journey, and it helps really inform what kinds of policies you could implement or that you could strengthen in your own workplace. And so definitely check that out. I'll talk a little bit about at the end our upcoming annual event that recognizes all the businesses. That's in April. Okay, so we're going to get started here. Next slide. We are going to talk about how to find legislation. So I'd love to know in the chat if you have been to the Capitol, if you've worked on legislation, if you know your way around. That's awesome. I'd love to hear about that. I have many years, how many years now? I don't know, something like 25 years of experience with the New Mexico State Capitol. So I do know it very well. We are going to use the Capitol website here to do a little demo. For those of you who want to just know, how do you find a piece of legislation and how do you find your legislator? Also, just to say, things are have shifted and are very different now due to the pandemic. So for those of you who are used to just walking around the Capitol and grabbing, coffee with a legislator or a colleague, that isn't happening so much anymore. Although you can go to the Capitol this session. If you show your vaccination card and your booster and you wear a mask, you can go into the building. But they're not allowing big groups or events, which is why we're having our event on Zoom. So let's go ahead, Angelica, and listen to this very short, brief video on how to find
It's really easy to find things on the nmlegis.gov website. There are 3 ways that you can find legislation. You can find by legislative number. You can search by keyword, preferably a word that is in the title of the legislation, or by sponsor. Say you want to find House Bill 1 for the regular session 2016. Click Go and you're going to be redirected to the page that houses the legislation you were looking for. At the very top, you will find the ID, the title, and the sponsor. Under that, you will find the current location or the last location where that legislation was left. You will find the text of the legislation as introduced in either PDF or HTML format. If there are amendments in context, there will be a link for that, as well as a final version if that is available. Reading the text of the legislation doesn't tell you everything you need to know about the legislation. Other things that are important to know about the legislation are the sponsors and the votes, the analysis and the committee reports, the floor reports, actions taken, governor vetoes, and proposed amendments. Please know that throughout the entire nmlegis.gov website, we use abbreviations, and the key to abbreviations can be found under Quick Links, Key to Abbreviations.
Okay, great. So that was a quick overview about how to find legislation. Now we're going to hear about how do you find your legislator. And so we'll just watch a very brief video about that.
One of the easiest ways to be able to find your legislator's contact information is by using nmlegis.gov tab Legislators. Find My Legislator. If you choose the first search option, name, district, or your address, you have a variety of options. If you already know your legislator's name, use the name search. If you know your district, use the district search. If you don't know either of these or are not sure, place your address in the address box and click Go, and you will be linked to the information that tells you exactly which legislator represents that district, as well as the maps of the districts for the entire state. Use the hyperlink available to get directly to your representative's contact information. Good luck.
Great. Thank you, Angelica. And so, as you may know, in New Mexico, it's actually one of the states that is that we have the most access to our legislators in the whole country, and that's because we can generally just go over to the Capitol and meet with a legislator. In many other states, it's much more complicated and harder to access your legislators. Here, it's pretty easy. You can even just call them, and they actually love to hear from constituents. If you want to develop a relationship with a legislator, best time to do that is in the interim, so not during the legislative session, but they're always accessible, and that it's pretty fun to get to know them. Okay, so let's do a little overview of the legislative session issues that impact family-friendly businesses, things we're interested in following and keeping a tab on. And just to clarify, and for anybody that is wondering, Family Friendly New Mexico as an organization does not advocate for legislation. We don't work on policy issues as it relates to creating laws. What we do is we follow interesting issues that might impact what we do, because once something is the law, we will definitely create toolkits and education around those items. Um, and do we have any questions so far? If you do have a question about anything that you've heard so far, just post it in the chat. We're monitoring that and we can answer those questions. Okay, so quick overview of some things that we're interested in. There are two memorials, a House Memorial 3 and Senate Memorial 1, and these are duplicate memorials. So sometimes that happens where something is introduced in both houses and it's the same exact bill or memorial. And this is a memorial that asks the Workforce Solutions Department to convene a task force to develop recommendations for the enactment and implementation of a Paid Family and Medical Leave Act. And so, as you know, we have the federal law that is for unpaid family and medical leave. And so this task force, this memorial, so this is not a bill, this is not it's not creating a law. This is a memorial that is creating a task force that would look at recommendations to the legislature regarding implementation of a paid family and medical leave here in New Mexico. And so they want to include establishing and administering paid family and medical leave through a trust fund administered by the Workforce Solutions Department. So again, this is a great thing to look at early on, which is what this is when it's in a memorial and it's a task force. That's pretty early. It's not a law yet. It's not a bill, and it's good to follow and be aware of. Across the country, this is picking up momentum in terms of having paid family and medical leave. So it's a good thing to be aware of and to implement in your own business if you can already. There are some businesses that are already doing this, and so they don't need a law that tells them that they have to do it. So we'll be following that. The next item I wanted to talk about is a budget request. So there's no bill for this, it's just a budget request. And I should say too, for those that may not be aware, we in New Mexico have short sessions and long sessions. And right now, this year, we're in a short session, 30 days. Every other year, it's a 30-day session, which only deals with the budget. And so all the bills have to either have to do with the budget, or they need a message from the governor, what's called a message from the governor, which means the governor is allowing that issue to be dealt with during this budget session. And you can check out the messages that she's given if you're interested on her website. She's got over 20 messages given at this point for this legislative session. So this budget request is $900,000 to the Workforce Solutions Department to enforce the sick leave law. And that is the sick leave law that goes into effect in July of this year. And we've done a workshop on this, Healthy Workplaces Act. And so if you're interested in learning more about it, learning how your company can get prepared for this happening in July of this year, do email us. You can always email info@nmfamilyfriendlybusiness.org, and we'll put that in the chat. And Angelica gets those emails, and she can hand it off to whoever is going to deal with that. Or and we have, I think we have a guide too that's been developed that we can share. So this is good because the law actually is going to go into effect in July. So having some funds dedicated to Workforce Solutions Department so they can staff that and help with assistance and technical support, that's going to be important. Okay, third here on the list, Senate Bill 52. This is an interesting one. This provides $350,000 to provide a program through which participating state employees have portions of their salaries or wages deducted and dispersed for the repayment of personal loans. So it's a payroll deduction for loan repayment. This is something that can really support employees to manage their personal finances. And it's something that some private companies are already doing in various ways. So this is an interesting one to follow as well. Lastly, we have Senate Bill 91, which provides $500,000 from the general fund to the higher education department for actually for CNM, Central New Mexico Community College, to develop and operate intensive boot camp training programs for unemployed or underemployed workers. And so we're very interested in this because we want all employees and people and families in New Mexico to thrive. So if there are training programs for unemployed and underemployed workers, we're very interested in that. And we would love to support the businesses in our program to be able to access these kinds of programs. So, so that's a very quick overview of these issues and bills. And as you saw in the short video a moment ago, you can search on these in the nmlegis.gov website. And you can search on those by number, and you can learn a lot more about them. So, and if you want to search on different keywords, you can do that. There's a lot of information there, and Zoe's putting the link in the chat right now. So I want to take a moment to just ask: are there any questions or any other issues that people are seeing that they're following? Go ahead and post in the chat, and we can flag those. And particularly any questions we have from folks. And as I've been chatting, I've been seeing the participant list here. If you have joined our New Mexico Business Day at the Legislature here, welcome. And if you haven't posted where you're joining from, please do. We would love to know. And not just so that we know, but so everybody can get to know who's here. Just go ahead and post in the chat where you're joining from, what your company is. Thank you, Jason, SMPC Architects. And for those of you who posted earlier where you're joining from, thank you. It helps just create a little bit more connection and engagement here as we go through. And I also want to take a moment to thank our sponsors. We have been doing this event every year for a number of years, at least 5 or 6 years now. And in past years, we have gone to the legislature with a group of you, and we go onto the New Mexico State Senate floor, and we're recognized as family-friendly businesses in New Mexico, and it's really exciting and fun. We couldn't do that this year, but we're really happy that we could still work with the Senate to do a recognition for us, and just recognize all of the businesses that we have in our program. Like I said at the beginning, we have over 200 businesses impacting hundreds of thousands of employees across the state. So I do want to recognize our sponsors. Laura Smith from Albuquerque Plumbing, Heating and Cooling is here today. And so welcome. Thank you to Albuquerque Plumbing, Heating and Cooling for all of your support all year long, including today. Let's see, we have Casey from Southwest Cheese Company in Clovis. Awesome. Love it. Welcome, Casey, Michaela from Lano Foundation in Los Alamos, um, Helen from UNM Medical Group, Laura from Mark Pardo, awesome, and so many more. We have Haz Saeed from Basin Health. We've got Dr. Gina Jones from NMSU, and so many others that introduced themselves earlier in the chat. Lori from Hospital Services Corporation. So welcome. I encourage you all to get to know each other too, because honestly, this is one of the benefits of this program is connecting those of you who are working in companies that are really trying to implement or improve your workplace policies. The thing we hear the most is that you learn from each other, and that sometimes you don't realize something could be done, and then you talk to someone else in our program and they're like, oh well, I'm doing it, here's how we did it. So it's a great environment to learn from each other. Okay, I think we're going to move on to the next item. Let's see, next slide. Yeah, so I'm going to read the Family Friendly Business Day recognition and acknowledgement in the New Mexico State Senate. Now, when we are in person in the roundhouse, it's super fun because we sit on the Senate floor and they read out our bill or our certificate or proclamation, whatever we're doing. And today I'm going to read it. So bear with me. But I really want you to listen to the words that we chose and that the Senate is reading out. They're actually reading this out in the Senate today. But we're going to read it here. So the New Mexico State Senate does hereby extend its recognition and acknowledgement to family-friendly businesses. Whereas family-friendly businesses acknowledge and respond to the work, personal, and family responsibilities of employees by developing and implementing policies and practices that allow employees to integrate work, personal, and family responsibilities effectively. And whereas family-friendly policies benefit both employees and employers by positively impacting the health and education, economic stability, and job satisfaction of employees and their families, while increasing sales, share value, and productivity, and lowering costs by reducing absenteeism, turnover, and health-related expenses for employers. And whereas family-friendly workplace policies improve businesses, the workforce, and communities. And whereas businesses with family-friendly workplace policies align core values with policies, improve the health and well-being of employees, improve employee retention, improve productivity and quality to successfully achieve missions and reduce costs associated with lost productivity. And whereas a child today is as likely to have a working mother as a working father, and whereas in New Mexico, about 60% of children under 6 years old had all parents in the labor force. And whereas more women today are heads of households and are balancing home, work, and community responsibilities. And whereas Family Friendly New Mexico demonstrates that family-friendly workplace policies are key to New Mexico's economic development and plays an integral role in supporting the economic recovery of the state through its network and partnerships. And whereas Family Friendly New Mexico provides educational resources to employers that want to implement family-friendly workplace policies. And whereas Family Friendly New Mexico administers a recognition program to honor employers that demonstrate a commitment to family-friendly workplace policies. And whereas there are 7 categories of family-friendly workplace policies in the recognition program, including paid leave, health support, work schedules, economic support, pay equity, diversity and inclusion, and community investment. And whereas businesses recognized with awards gain stature and can use their award status in recruiting and marketing. And whereas when they do so, employees and other companies are educated about the advantages of family-friendly workplaces, and award recipients can experience a competitive advantage in recruiting. And whereas the family-friendly New Mexico team plans to continue its work in adopting inclusive practices that support a thriving and diverse workplace. And whereas family-friendly New Mexico plans to continue its work to increase the participation of private and public employers in its activities and research. And whereas New Mexico businesses are encouraged to apply for awards in the Family-Friendly New Mexico Awards program. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate of the State of New Mexico that recognition be extended to family-friendly businesses, and that January 28th, 2022 be declared Family-Friendly Business Day in the Senate. Signed, Mimi Stewart, President Pro Tem, Senator Liz Stefanix, and Lenore Naranjo, Chief Clerk. All right. Oh, thank you, Araceli. She says, congratulations. Yeah, it's so fun to read that out because it really is, it's important for the senators and for the legislature to hear those words. Okay, so we're going to move on. I'd love to hear from you. What stood out to you as I read that recognition and acknowledgement from the state Senate? What stood out to you? Did anything catch your, did you notice something that was either surprising or that you liked hearing? I'd love to hear about that. And we're moving on to the final part of our agenda. This has gone so fast. We're moving on to the final part of our agenda where I get to talk to two wonderful members of our business community. I have Dr. Gina Jones here and I have Haz Saeed as well. I'm going to introduce both of you. Hello, welcome. I'm going to introduce both of you, and then we're just going to have a conversation that can really help shine a light on sort of what it is we're doing and what are you doing out in the field there. And if you could put their bios back on, I was going to do a little bit of an introduction so people know who we're talking to. Didn't quite get there. Okay, thanks. So Dr. Jones has worked in the area of human resources management and supervision for over 30 years in both the private and public sectors, 19 of which have been in executive leadership positions. Currently, she's the Assistant Vice President and Chief HR Officer for New Mexico State University. So glad to have you. Haz Saeed is Director of Marketing and Communications at Basin Health Companies. He's a marketing professional since 1998 and the Director of Marcom at Basin Health Companies based in Farmington, New Mexico. He started his career in San Francisco during the dot-com era as a copywriter and creative director for clients including Intel and Charles Schwab. So we're super pleased to have you both here. I want to just start with asking both of you, and also I should say too that you're both on the Business Leadership Council for Family Friendly New Mexico. So your involvement is greatly appreciated. And I want to just ask both of you, and I'll start with you, Gina.
Sure.
What has it meant to your company, to the university, NMSU, and to the employees to be part of Family Friendly New Mexico?
Well, thank you, Giovanna. Thank you for having me this afternoon. It's such a pleasure to be able to talk about our involvement in Family Friendly New Mexico. And I can tell you for New Mexico State University, it's very, very, it's an honor to be to be looked at as a family-friendly employer, especially in these times with COVID. And as we study and research and plan for the future of work, family-friendly policies and procedures, and just having the thought of how can we take care of our employees better is just prominent in what we do now. So being a member of Family Friendly New Mexico has just helped us establish the platform and the direction that we need to go to take care of our employees.
That's great. Thank you. We hear that a lot, and we know that this is a critical time right now for employers during the pandemic. What about you? How would you answer that question? How is being a part of this supported you and your employees?
Yeah, well, Basin Health Companies is celebrating 30 years in business this year, and over 700 employees, nurses, physical and occupational therapists, caregivers, serving thousands of New Mexicans in Northwest New Mexico. So family is very much at the center of our workplaces, as people who are, field nurses and field healthcare professionals. So being recognized as a family-friendly workplace signals to our employees and prospective employees. So again, that recruitment and retention part of this is so important to us. It signals that in very specific ways, how we respect them as humans. It demonstrates our commitment to our values, and in very relevant ways to them, from paid leave to flexible scheduling to supporting the community causes that matter to each employee. These are our guides. All of those categories that family friendly covers are guides to us. And
that's great.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, for many of those companies out there, including yours and NMSU, you've been around for a long time. And so I just want to acknowledge that a lot of companies have been doing a lot of these policies already, right? So it's not like it's brand new, or, some of the ideas are, and some folks are implementing new ideas and new policies or strengthening. But we're really, also kind of finding those companies that are doing a great job and lifting those up, because you mentioned recruitment and retention has, how important is it to showcase that you have a family-friendly workplace when you are trying to recruit and retain employees? And Gina, do you want to answer that?
Oh, it's absolutely critical to be able to have to show that we are a caring organization. The competition is not just about competition, but it does affect our recruitment and retention. But it's necessary for our employees and potential employees to feel like they're going to be supported. So for us, being a part of Family Friendly New Mexico has said to our employees and to others that these policies, yes, they've been there a long time, but now you can see them collectively, they make a difference. And that's what has happened through this process of being a member of the Family Friendly New Mexico, is we brought them all together, and collectively, how strong we are in supporting. That's been a big deal.
Okay, and how have you specifically used the relationship with Family Friendly New Mexico, or the award that you all got, in recruitment and retention?
Yeah, I echo Dr. Jones's sentiment that it's been crucial. As part of the healthcare sector, our home health businesses are in intense, pretty relentless competition for skilled and licensed healthcare professionals. So given that our reimbursement model is a challenge and it's squeezed, it's difficult to compete for that talent on pay alone for us. So family-friendly, customized, flexible benefits and work styles are the way that we're competing. And that family-friendly seal helps us open conversations with professionals who are looking for, say, alternatives to traditional hospital clinic work environments.
And for either of you, where do you showcase that seal? Because you do get this seal that shows that you're a family-friendly workplace, and you have the digital seal, and then you have a window cling and all of that. But like, where do you actually use it? Where do people find that?
Yeah, we put it on our website. We have a site that recognizes our employees, and what we call United Unidos site, where we look at all of our different accomplishments and motivation, things that have employees have done, and I'm sitting right in front of a news release that just went out yesterday to the community about our award. And so it's that seal itself and that recognition makes a big deal for us.
Yeah,
Great.
it's part of our checklist of updates annually to our website, and it goes on all our recruitment advertising wherever we can use graphics sometimes.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I wanted to ask you another question about because a lot of times we really try to meet employers where they are in terms of where they are with their workplace policies. And that could be, you might have a small company might have 1 or 2 policies in place. And then we support you to add or strengthen those policies. And then hopefully, you move up a level and move up. And we have 4 levels of award: bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. And so I just wonder from both of you, what did you do to move up a level, and how did it impact your employees? And if you have anything you wanted to share about that.
Yeah, I'll real quickly, I'll say that when we started, we were gold on the gold category. And it's the application process, what the questions, the focus that's in the application that guided us. So if we couldn't meet that year, we kept saying, well, why can't we meet that? What do we need to do? So the application guided us as to what's important. What are some of the policies to look at? And we use the application as our guide as to how to establish the most fluid, the most, I can't even think of the word, but to be as family friendly as we could. And that we just used the application, and where we were lacking, we worked on it the following year.
Yeah, they're moving from silver to gold to platinum for Basin Health companies was followed that same kind of guide. We look ahead to see, what are we doing well? And we were leading, we were ahead of the curve in some areas and a little behind in others. And it's great to talk with our teams, and we have pretty active online suggestion box, anonymous suggestion box. So we're pretty connected to our employees. We get a pulse of what's working for them and what's not. And one of the most recent things was implementing a give one, get one volunteer program where employees are encouraged to work in the community in causes that matter to them personally. And we support them for every hour of volunteer work they do in a cause that matters to them. We provide, or the company provides, that equal amount of paid time off, up to an amount per quarter. And that's been great for our communities, for our brand, for employees.
That's great. Okay, good. Oh, I wish we had more time. I feel like we could talk for another half hour just about everything that you're doing. But this gives people just a taste of what it's like to be in this community and to have a family-friendly workplace. So I want to thank you both so much for being here today. And
Thank you.
yeah, thank you. I think it's so important to hear from the folks out there that are actually on the ground doing the work. And so if you're here listening and you've heard something that has piqued your interest, please do be in touch with us. We can put you in touch with other companies that are doing what you're trying to do. That's one of the best ways to problem solve and troubleshoot these things. And so we just want you to know that you that we are here as your resource to implementing the very best family-friendly workplace that we can do together. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on now to a couple of items. I want you to save the date for sure for this upcoming workshop. We do these workshops quarterly and even maybe a little bit more than quarterly. And the next one is coming up on February 22nd. It's all about the laws that impact employers. So if you're wondering, okay, I want to do, I want to do some work on some workplace policies, but what are the laws that impact me that are related to this? We're going to cover all of that at the next workshop. So please do sign up for that. Also, very exciting, we have scheduled our annual event. For those of you who have ever been to our annual event, just pop in the chat if you've been, just like a thumbs up or like a celebration thing. If you've been to our annual event, it's super fun. We've done it. This will be the 6th annual awards luncheon. And we always have a lot of fun, and we connect with peers, with each other, and recognize all of you for having family-friendly workplaces. So if you haven't ever been, definitely put this on your calendar. We've had to go on online the last couple of years, obviously, but this year we're scheduled for Sandia, Sandia Resort Golf Club. It's beautiful. We had our event there in 2018. It was gorgeous, and we're excited to do that. I also want to mention we have a couple of, quite a few event sponsors already for our event in April. We've got New Senda Credit Union and let me find my list. New Senda Credit Union and the Education Plan, and also Rio Grande Credit Union. These are all event sponsors for the upcoming event. And if you want to be recognized as an event sponsor, there's still time. Just reach out to us. Zoe, who's here in the chat, will be happy to talk to you about sponsorship. And please definitely save that date, April 28th. It's a super fun event. Okay, we're going to move on here. Lastly, and we're right out of time, so we're going to wrap it up here. I just want to mention for you to look for us in the news, because we're often covered in the news. Albuquerque Business First, Albuquerque Journal, Santa Fe New Mexican, and then particularly like the company that's in Clovis, the cheese company in Clovis. We would love to work with you to get some news coverage in Clovis. So we can work with you directly to get, we've had coverage in Farmington and Gallup. And so look for us in the news. You can go to nmfamilyfriendlybusiness.org/media to see all of the different articles and features. And I think we have a feature coming out on Monday, so in the Albuquerque Journal. So look for that on Monday. And Jason says his firm has done some recent renovations at Sandia Resort and Casino, and they're beautiful. Ooh, I can't wait to see that, Jason. Okay, and also US Eagle is one of our sponsors for the upcoming event. I wanted to mention that. And let's see, any other announcements? I think we're right out of time. Thank you so much for joining today and for celebrating with us. It's a really big deal. We love to recognize the companies, and we love to have them be recognized by the New Mexico State Senate. So yay for everyone, and thank you, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone.